Oh yes, finally the days are starting to get a little bit longer and the nights shorter, as it almost feels as though the grasp of winter is beginning to loosen. In a couple of months' time, with any luck, we will begin to see the lush greenery that makes our city so darn good looking, coupled with the birds and the bees and everything else that spring and summer does to warm the soul. For many involved with the various urban agriculture initiatives in our city, now is the time to plant seeds for the future, quite literally. That said, urban agricultural enthusiasts haven't always had the easiest ride in Calgary. We've seen public gardens shut down and the well-publicized banning of backyard hens. Today we explore the current state of urban agriculture in Calgary and the rise, motivations, and benefits of the eco-food movement.
Hey Calgary, I'm Kevin Chorney. This is Calgary Now. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I am joined by, well, the man himself. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Paul Hughes. You run, of course, Grow Calgary. It's good to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kevin.
So Paul, for those viewers of ours who maybe haven't seen you on the program before, give me the rundown. What's going on at Grow Calgary? What is the mandate there? What are you guys all about?
Well, we have 11 acres on the Transportation Utility Quarter out by Can Olympic Park.
Yeah.
And we have 4,500 volunteers. And over the last 3 years, we're going into our 4th season. Last 3 years, we've been growing food exclusively for compassionate purposes. So non-commercial purposes. We've been giving all the food to the food bank.
All the food to the food bank.
Yeah.
And how much food are we talking over the past few years here?
We estimate about 300 truckloads of food.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like probably the major contributor of fresh fruits, vegetables to the Calgary Food Bank.
We're one of the primary contributors outside of what they actually buy from the industrial side.
Incredible, incredible. That's, well, first off, that's a heck of a service.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah. Tell me a bit about the early germination program. That's just around the corner. I think it's February 20th, things are getting started.
Yeah, we have Adrian Lee has coordinated our early germination program. So Calgarians can come out and actually check something off their bucket list and get a bucket. Literally get it. We're putting the bucket in bucket list. They can get a bucket, get some soil, and get seeds. So seeds plus soil equals sustenance. And we will take their early germination. They'll take these buckets home. We'll take their early germination attempts and efforts, and then we'll transplant that out at the farm and get a head start.
That's
on the
cool.
season. Yeah.
So it's it's ownership amongst the community, really helping out and trying to take part in this.
Well, we talk about community gardens, and we're a community farm. So we're just advancing the concept, really. Yeah.
It's brilliant, brilliant. Take it home, take care of it, bring it back. It's fantastic. Now the weather's been pretty good lately. You expecting a pretty good grow season this year?
I think a lot of us are, have fast tracked. Certainly, a lot of farmers are concerned because of the moisture content and some of the agro-climatic scenarios that are going on right now. So it has a silver lining that we get going a little earlier, but is this going to be a really dry year? Are we going to experience more drought? We already saw considerable drought last year in some regions of Alberta. Yeah. Is that going to happen in Calgary? Is that going to happen where we are? We've got a really interesting, the Paskapoo is a very interesting microclimate. So we were really lucky last year to get quite a bit of rain.
Yeah.
But we don't know how it's going to unfold this year, Kevin.
Funding-wise, where are things at with Grow Calgary? Is it where it needs to be? Are you happy now? I mean, obviously, every little bit more can help. Where's that at?
Well, we do the best we can with what we have.
Yeah.
So we don't complain too much about that. We could always use some more resources and money and volunteers.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we're constantly recruiting. We're constantly looking at different sources of funding. But our return on investment for agriculture and local food production is phenomenal. It's unrivaled. I mean, we get $50 to $100 of produce for every dollar that's contributed to our organization. So, but that's because it's a volunteer-based organization. Plus, we're very, very crafty. We're very savvy. And we repurpose like crazy. And we upcycle. It gets us in a little bit of trouble with the conventional system. We've butted heads with the city a little bit on our greenhouses.
I read about this. It seemed, I mean, I get the city's angle. I guess they're wanting to ensure that everything's safe and to code and whatnot.
Yeah, so do we.
I don't know that it's always so prevalent when we're talking about a farm. Is it a bit of tension, a bit of nodding head sometimes?
It was. I mean, now we've created a superior understanding with the city and some of the people we work with. The city's been pretty good over the last year. Cool. But they still are. There's a rigid adherence to certain protocols and certain standards that a reasonable person might go, okay, that's maybe a little bit extreme.
Give me an example. What do you mean?
Well, we had some pallets.
Okay.
And there's pallets all over the city.
There certainly is. Yeah.
So we had pallets, and as soon as we put plastic over the top of the pallets, they became a structure. So they became dangerous, and they became a safety issue.
Oh, that's silly. Come on.
Yeah. So they, so there's this entrenched idea about what is safe, and so we've worked with organizations like Stantec.
Yeah.
And
sure.
And
Design
so
firm,
so we have an earth ship. We built this earth ship. It's an incredibly safe structure, and Stantec recently signed off on the structural engineering integrity of the structure. So it's a safe structure. So they cross their T's and dot their I's. Hey, we all embrace bureaucracy, and we know when bureaucracy does a good job, and we know when bureaucracy does a very poor job. Mm-hmm. And so, we're no different than anybody else. We got to jump through some of those hoops. We also want to change those hoops. We want to change the size of those hoops, the locations of those hoops. Mm-hmm. We want to change some of the policy. We want to drive policy at the city level. We have a policy committee with Grow Calgary. Yeah. We're advancing a whole bunch of different concepts right now, and we're trying to get the city to embrace the urban agricultural potential.
There sounds like there needs to be a bit more buy-in from the city. Is that a fair statement?
A lot of more buy-in.
Yeah.
We've been having this conversation since 2008, and it's a blind spot for the city. Quite frankly, it's a blind spot. They don't look at food access the way we do. Mm-hmm. And so we went from one agency last year that we're providing food for, the food bank. We now have 15 agencies in 1 year.
Quite a demand.
There's an economic downturn. We have a recession.
Of course.
People are struggling out there. Yeah. We've added something like 90,000 people to the vulnerable sector. There's some serious challenges out there.
There needs to be clearly a bigger conversation. I'm going to jump to a quick break here, folks. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, so tell me about mow or grow.
Mow or grow?
Yeah.
Well, so the premise is that in the city of Calgary, we have some 100,000 empty, unused acres of land.
100,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. We are the same size as 5 boroughs in New York.
Yeah.
5 boroughs in New York have 9 million people.
Yeah.
We've got 1.3 million people. So you take away that many people, and you've got a lot of leftover land. I mean, sprawl is just another word for a decentralized food system. And so what we're proposing is that we have hit and we have reached peak mowing. We've got peak mowing, peak grass. Now it's time to transition from being a mowing culture to a growing culture, and that we can grow food on these unused spaces.
So we're talking mainly public spaces then? Wherever?
Exclusively public spaces.
Just all, so we're like...
Not soccer fields, not football fields, not baseball diamonds, not schoolyards, not public parks, but just unused spaces. You see them everywhere in the city. And so what we do is we spend thousands of dollars per acre every year just mowing that space. And it needs to be maintained in some perspective, so some manner. So what we're suggesting is that we can start growing on a lot of those spaces.
Yeah, let's forget just aesthetics. Let's get something useful out of the land is essentially where you guys are getting at.
And so what we're suggesting is 1% per year of that space is transitioned, and the budget is transitioned over to compassionate food systems and growing food for food access organizations without asking the taxpayer for any more money. We just want to take that mowing budget and transition it over to a growing budget.
Makes a lot of sense.
At 1% a year. Well, it makes a lot of sense. That might be, therein lies the challenge. Maybe it's too practical. I don't know. We'll see how the politicians and the bureaucrats and the administrators respond to it. Yeah. We know that citizens that we've tested this out, because this is just coming out now, love it. They just love the idea and are embracing it. So we were just recently at a Calgary horticulture meeting and just loved it. Round of applause, and it was
no concern about volunteers helping out, take care of the land.
Yep, absolutely.
Cultivate,
absolutely. And so closer to our communities as well. So, for example, Grow Calgary, where we're located, it's hard for people from the northeast and the southeast to get to us.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
this land is spread. It's not contiguous. It's not like it's all one continuous space. There's just plots of it and spots all over the city. But there's close over 100,000 empty acres of land in the city of Calgary. The transportation utility corridor alone is 12,000 empty acres. So
a lot of room to work with, a lot of space.
yeah, and millions of dollars being committed towards mowing. So something for us
no
to consider.
brainer to you and I guess, like you say, we'll see how the bureaucrats handle things. Now, in the past, it hasn't always been kind. I mean, I guess the city's reaction to urban agricultural initiatives, of course, I think back to your plight a few years ago, and you did a great job with it, of course, backyard chickens, urban hens.
Yeah,
A pilot project that council decided not even to entertain for a day. A pilot project that was shut down. And that, shot down, pardon me. I've always had a problem with that, considering that backyard pigeons, of course, are legal in our city, and yet no backyard chickens.
yeah, you can have 150 pigeons,
Blows my mind. That's
but
crazy.
you can't have one egg-laying hen.
It's crazy.
And so we see a problem with that. And we thought that the city would entertain the pilot project for 20 families,
Yeah.
which in this whole world of pilot projects is pretty reasonable. But that wasn't to be. So we moved on, and we're going to continue creating awareness around it. I mean, there's some 500 families in the city already doing having backyard hens illegally. I guess illegally.
So is it being cracked down on or not?
No, not really, not really.
Okay.
I mean, the people who are doing it for the most part have been very, very reasonable about it.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to detect as well. There's not these obnoxious smells that people suggest. The numbers are usually pretty low, from 3 to 6 hens, which is next to nothing. It's not 30,000 hens like in the industrial system where there is a high concentration. There will be some smells associated with that. So yeah, we're going to keep working on the awareness. I mean, it's coming. I mean, New York City allows hens. Los Angeles allows hens. Vancouver allows hens. North Vancouver allows hens.
Red Deer as well, I believe. Edmonton as well, as far as I know.
Red Deer has a pilot project they just passed. A lot of communities around Calgary allowing hens. And it's about responsible pet ownership, really is what it is. So, you know, you can have 150 pigeons. I don't see the problem with having 3 to 6 hens in your
It doesn't make
backyard.
any sense. It makes zero sense. We're almost out of time, Paul. Real quick, if somebody wants to get involved with Grow Calgary, what are the steps they should take?
Head to Facebook, head to social media, search Grow Calgary, growcalgary.ca. We're always welcoming volunteers, and everything kicks off this Saturday with the early germination program. So we're a family-friendly farm. Everybody's welcome out, except for you. Except for you, Kevin.
Yeah,
except for you, because the last time you stepped on the radishes, we had a problem with that. But you know, if you promise not to step on the radishes,
you know, I get a little clumsy around the radishes at times.
No, you're awesome, and thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a lot, Paul. I really appreciate
welcome.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, pleasure.
Folks, we're going to jump to a quick break. We'll be back talking about beekeeping in Calgary. Stay with us.